Today I'm flying on a 717. The 717 was originally branded as the MD-95 as part of McDonnell Douglas, and it looks like the DC-9, which no longer flies today. So it was with extreme excitement that I found out that my flight was going to be on a 717. The 717's first flight was in 1999 with AirTran Airways, and if you take a look at my Delta 717, you'll see that the tail number on this plane ends in AT for AirTran. Yes, this airplane flew for AirTran before it was painted in Delta's colors. Here in Atlanta, you can find quite a few of these really cool Delta jets. Well, I don't know about you, but I can't wait to get on the 717 today. And here I am in seat 28E in this aircraft, which has a 2x3 seating configuration. Well, welcome aboard the 717. Guys, I just took my seat on the 717. This is the only window seat that was left on the airplane. Can you see that? The engine is blocking my view out the window. I'm on a flight to an airport I've never flown to before, Melbourne, Florida, and I really wanted to make a video about this flight from an air traffic perspective, which is what my channel's all about, but that's not going to happen today. I did manage to find a small sliver of a view, but it was only visible by putting my camera lens up against the window. The sliver was even more narrow by just trying to look out without the camera. This is a real disappointment. Despite the sliver of a view, I managed to be able to determine where I was, and I identified a taxi route to runway 9 left after taxiing out from gate D9 Alpha. I've taken this taxi route before, and it appeared to me that taxiway Mike would take us to the runway. Despite the highly obstructed view by the 2 rear fuselage-mounted engines, I did take some pleasure in the engine sound, being one of the closest passengers to the engines. 110 passengers get to experience the sound, but it's actually quiet for those up front. The further back you go, the louder the engine sounds. Let's listen to the engine sounds for a moment as we taxi out. This plane is powered by 2 Rolls-Royce BR715 engines, which is the exclusive engine type for the 717. This aircraft has a range of about 1,500 miles. Only 156 717s were ever built, and the primary operators today are Delta, Hawaiian, and QantasLink. I'm happy to say that I've flown the 717 on all of these carriers, but I didn't have a YouTube channel back then, so there's no video. As we entered the runway, I had a visual confirmation that we were taking off on runway 9 left by looking at the red paint with white lettering on the ground, indicating that we were about to enter runway 27 right, 9 left. And I knew that runway 9 left would be the departure runway since it was on the right side and we had to make a left turn to the runway. We also entered the runway from an intersecting taxiway, taxiway Mike 2. For the takeoff, I'm going to let you listen in to the power of the Rolls-Royce engines since I had the best seat in the plane for listening to them. We were clear for takeoff before we had an opportunity to wait in position. Let's go down to Melbourne. I thought my view was bad for the taxi, but it was even worse for the climb. With the nose up and the wing obstructing most of my view, I hardly saw anything. I tried to look up to see if I could see any other air traffic, but with a narrow field of vision, it was pointless. This made for a really disappointing flight. My channel does not focus on the luxury of large airline seats. A first-class seat is worthless to me if you have no window, and yes, this seat was pretty worthless too because of the lack of the view. I just had no choice. With a very late booking, I just had to sit there. That's all that was left, and I really needed to get to Melbourne, Florida. Now, I do want to point out that there was one row behind me, and that row actually has no window at all. With no window at all, that's not even worthy of making a video, so at least I have something to show you. To make matters worse, the passenger in front of me had their window shade down, so I could not even see out of that window, which had a better view than mine. Alright, now that I got that rant out of the way, let's get to our routing for at least a moment so I can make this video appear somewhat like my others. We're on an RNAV departure procedure called the Varsity 3 departure, which is used for flights that have destinations to the south. Our destination, the Melbourne airport, is on Florida's east coast. We took off to the east, and Melbourne is to the south and east, so we need to make a right-hand turn to get into the general direction of our destination. We'll fly over waypoints called Grits, Heisman, and Trophy before we get to Varsity and proceed on course to our destination. Here's the right-hand turn. There wasn't much to see or show you during the en route phase of flight, and before I knew it, we were descending to the Melbourne airport on the Bitho 7 arrival, a standard terminal arrival route to Melbourne starting at Ormond Beach, Florida. We'll be on the ground soon. Today we'll be landing on runway 9 right, and in order to get there, we'll have to proceed inland a bit as we'll be landing towards the ocean on an easterly heading. Then from there, it's a left turn onto the final approach course. It was so hard to see out the window, so I'm just going to play the rest of the landing portion and fast forward. Flying is all about the view, and if you don't have it, well, that leads to a disappointing flight. But don't worry, I promise I'll be back with some more awesome videos. Well, I'll have a much better view, just like all of the other videos I've been uploading to my channel. And you don't want to miss out on them. So if you haven't done so already, I invite you to click on the subscribe button below to join the thousands of others who have already done so. Although this video didn't provide the best views, my channel focuses on flying from an air traffic perspective, explaining how certain views are possible and why a flight takes the route it does. Of course, it's best illustrated with a nice view, and you'll get that in my upcoming videos, so stay tuned. Thanks, everybody.